I didn't set out to become frugal. At first, it was just a quiet experiment. Prices were climbing, my budget felt tight, and I wanted to see what would happen if I stripped my lifestyle back for a year. No big announcement, no extreme couponing, just small, steady choices to spend less and live with more awareness. And here's the surprising part. I learned this from living frugally for a year. Saving money was only the surface. What changed most wasn't my wallet, but the way I looked at time, comfort, and even happiness. We often think frugality means giving things up, like saying no to dinners out, new clothes, or little luxuries. But I discovered something very different. Living frugally in today's world isn't about scarcity. It's about clarity. It's about noticing the invisible ways money, apps, and habits quietly drain us. During those 12 months, I found that luxury is often just clever marketing, that free time is more valuable than extra cash, and that relationships grow stronger when money isn't in the center. This isn't a video about pinching pennies. It's about how frugality reshaped my daily life, and why it might quietly reshape yours too. The myth of frugality versus the reality I faced. When I first told a friend I was trying to live frugally, their reaction was instant. So you're cutting coupons and eating instant noodles every night? That's the myth most of us grow up with. That frugality is about constant sacrifice, living in a gray, joyless world where fun is too expensive. But the reality I faced was completely different. Frugality, at least in today's world, isn't about deprivation. It's about attention. It's noticing where money slips away without us realizing it, and choosing to spend differently, not necessarily less, just smarter. Why? The myth exists. During the Great Depression, families had no choice but to stretch every penny. Later, after the 2008 financial crash, minimalism reemerged as people searched for stability. Now, after the pandemic and with global inflation, frugality is back again, but it looks different. It's less about survival and more about control, mindfulness, and even sustainability. What I learned is that frugality isn't the opposite of living well. In fact, it can unlock a richer life because you stop chasing every trend and start valuing what actually matters. It felt less like restriction and more like freedom. 1. I realized my calendar was poorer than my wallet. When I began tracking my spending, I noticed something unexpected. Yes, I was spending money I didn't need to, but I was also spending something even more valuable, my time. My calendar was poorer than my wallet. Every streaming subscription came with hours of scrolling. Every delivery app order meant wasted minutes waiting. Every extra bill meant another call to customer service or email to sort out. The more I consumed, the less free time I actually had. When I cut back, I didn't just save dollars, I freed hours. Cooking simple meals meant fewer delivery waits. Canceling unused memberships meant fewer emails and less digital clutter. Saying no to impulse shopping saved me endless returns and errands. Slowly, I started to see my calendar as another kind of budget. Research shows people with more free time often report greater happiness than people with higher incomes but constant busyness. I felt that truth firsthand. Having evenings open, mornings unhurried, and weekends without endless to-do lists was its own form of wealth. Frugality didn't just give me a financial cushion, it gave me something money can't buy easily, the feeling that my time actually belonged to me. 2. Digital minimalism became a hidden frugal superpower. One of the biggest surprises of my frugal year wasn't found in the grocery aisle or at the gas pump. It was hiding in my phone. I realized digital minimalism was a secret frugal superpower. It started with subscriptions. I had auto-renewals for apps I barely touched, music platforms, cloud storage I never used. Each one seemed small, just $5 or $10, but together they drained hundreds every year. Canceling them felt like giving myself an instant raise. Then came notifications. Every ping from a shopping app, every special offer email was designed to make me spend. Turning them off stopped the constant nudges to buy things I didn't really want. My screen time dropped, and so did my spending. This wasn't about being anti-technology. It was about using tech on my terms. Instead of endless scrolling, I had more time for reading, cooking, or just being present. Instead of paying for convenience I didn't need, I kept my money for things I truly valued. Frugality in the digital age isn't only about saving dollars, It's about protecting attention. And once you reclaim your focus, you realize how expensive distraction really was. 3. I learned that luxury is often rebranded necessity. Halfway through my frugal year, I noticed something strange. Many of the things I thought were necessities were actually luxuries dressed in clever packaging. Take bottled water. At its core, it's the same tap water most of us already have, but wrapped in plastic and sold as pure or premium. Or food delivery apps. What used to be a rare treat quickly became marketed as an everyday convenience, even though the extra fees added up faster than I realized. I began spotting this pattern everywhere. Streaming services introduced premium tiers so you could skip ads. Clothing brands pushed exclusive collections that looked almost identical to their regular lines. Even grocery stores promoted artisan versions of basics like bread or pasta, making simple items feel like status symbols. What I learned is that modern companies are experts at turning comfort into something we feel we can't live without. They frame convenience as essential, when really it's optional. Frugality gave me new eyes. Once I stopped accepting these upgrades as normal, I saw how much money I was trading for things I didn't truly need. And the best part? Life didn't feel smaller without them. It felt lighter. One lesson I didn't expect from living frugally was how closely it connected to the environment. I wasn't trying to be an activist, but many frugal choices turned out to be eco-friendly without me even trying. For example, instead of buying new clothes, I learned to repair or shop secondhand. Not only did it save money, but it kept items out of landfills. Cooking at home meant fewer takeout containers and less food waste. Even choosing to walk or take public transport instead of driving everywhere made both my wallet and the planet a little lighter. It made me realize how much overconsumption drives both personal debt and environmental damage. Fast fashion, single-use plastics, and constant upgrades don't just drain our budgets, they also drain natural resources. Frugality quietly pushes back against that cycle. What's interesting is that younger generations, especially Gen Z, are already moving this way. Buy less but better has become a popular idea, and sustainable living is often framed as stylish. But you don't need a hashtag or a trendy movement to live this way. Sometimes, simply spending less is the most practical form of climate action. I didn't just save money. My definition of wealth changed. By the end of my frugal year, I realized I had saved a decent amount of money. But the bigger change wasn't in my bank account, it was in how I defined wealth. At first, I thought wealth was about having more income, more things, more comfort. But living simply showed me that real wealth is having resilience. It's knowing that if an emergency comes, I don't need to panic because I've built a cushion. It's the calm that comes from not depending on constant upgrades to feel satisfied. I noticed that while others chased the newest phone, car, or vacation, I felt steady with less. Frugality made me anti-fragile, as some experts call it, able to handle shocks without breaking. That feeling was worth far more than any luxury purchase. Wealth also began to mean peace of mind, free time, and stronger relationships. It wasn't just about numbers on a statement, it was about the kind of life those numbers allowed me to live. In the end, frugality taught me this. Money matters, but how you use it matters more. Real wealth isn't in the things you buy, it's in the freedom you quietly build. Looking back, I can say this with honesty. I learned this from living frugally for a year. It's not about having less, it's about living with more intention. At first, it felt uncomfortable. Saying no to habits I thought were normal, ordering takeout, buying must-have gadgets, paying for memberships I barely used, felt like I was cutting pieces of life away. But slowly, I realized I wasn't losing anything. I was gaining clarity. I was gaining freedom. The liberating part was seeing how much of modern life is built around spending without thinking. Once I stepped outside of that, I noticed how much calmer and lighter life could feel. Money no longer controlled me in quiet, invisible ways. I was the one making the choices. That doesn't mean everyone needs to go all in on frugality. You don't have to cancel everything or avoid every purchase. What matters is experimenting, trying one shift, one habit, and watching how it changes your perspective. In the end, frugality wasn't about restriction. It was about designing a life that feels full, even without constant spending. And that, to me, is the most valuable lesson money could never buy. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.